Welcome to Bleav In 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav In 76ers is presented by BetOnline.AG.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code, that's Bleav50, BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey everybody, welcome to Bleav In 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash. I'm here with our host, former legendary point guard Eric Snow, and my brother Teja Dash. How are we all doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I want to take a moment here before we start talking the Sixers topics, just to give pay some homage to Bill Russell, a giant on and off the basketball court. And I wanted to ask you, Eric, if you had any moments with with Bill, anything you want to say about Bill Russell?
Just got a chance to meet him. I have a poster in my house of different athletes, that I felt a part of paving the way in different sports, and Bill Russell is a part of that. So very, very nice and genuine. He was living in Seattle when I played in Seattle. Oh, wow. So I'm not sure if he was living there when he passed, but I know he was there, and very nice. I mean, it's just one of those guys, certain guys in this league, and Bill Russell was one of them, that no matter what your status is in this league, especially for guys like me, it's always guys like him that kind of stand above the rest. And he was that for me, not only on the court, but off the court as well.
That's awesome.
One thing, I was watching CNN last night, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was on. He said that, all stories about Bill Russell, but he said, like, the one thing that stood out to him that he remembered from a young buck was that, Bill Russell was amongst that first ever Boston Celtics team that had started 5 African-American players. So, and many things he did, that was one thing that kind of stood out to him as a young buck.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of firsts that he did. Yeah. If you look at his career, and Coach Brown was the first one to kind of put me on and tell me a lot of the stuff that he accomplished before a lot of people even talked about it. Coach Brown was always telling me that, I didn't, as far as college and winning national championships and playing, being in the Olympics, I knew none of that. I just knew just heard of Bill Russell, the basketball player with the Celtics. But a lot of his other things that he accomplished, I was told while I was in the NBA. That's, how interesting it is. And a lot of these guys are getting this information now when they're younger and have the opportunity to get that information. But I was the first that I heard a lot of things, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah,
you hear all the stuff about Boston even now about their fans get crap about being racist fans in Boston. I mean, my gosh, imagine it back then. It's like you can't even, man, that's insane.
But I don't think that was just Boston back then.
No, it wasn't. But if it's still being called that now, I'm saying, imagine. I mean,
had to be worse then. Yeah,
take it back 50. You know what I mean? Turn up that notch.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of cool things. I mean, I'm sure everybody who's listening to this can, look at Bill Russell up and learn more about him. Some of the stuff that Kareem was talking about last night, and some of the stuff I've read over the years and stuff. It's really cool. He was amongst one of the first players to kind of first NBA players to kind of advocate for civil rights. It's such in a time where not many people were doing that kind of stuff, and he was using his platform for good. And now we're seeing that being taken across all sports now. But he was amongst one of the first to do that. It's really cool. Yeah, and like you said, Eric, he did a lot of firsts, so really heroic career in life. But okay, guys, so now going back to the Sixers, the transition to that. Some stuff broke since our last show. Some big news. We kind of talked about it, but it was never a formal investigation. But now we can actually get into it a little bit. But this past weekend, after some speculation, which we talked about, it was reported that the NBA is investigating the 76ers for possible tampering and early contact regarding the team's offseason free agent signings of James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Danuel House, the Philadelphia Rockets. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, the league is investigating whether the Sixers and James Harden have already reached a handshake agreement on a more lucrative future contract, which is an insinuation that would be the only way Harden would have taken such a significant discount, which would be in violation of the league's collective bargaining agreement. So many Sixers fans pissed off about this, saying that the league has a witch hunt against the team. Many fans reposting or retweeting Embiid's old tweet of they hate the process. So I'm going to ask you guys, two-parter here. What do you all think about this investigation? And do you think Adam Silver has it out for the 76ers?
You can go ahead and go, Teja.
You want to go first? Okay.
I think I may take a different stance from you.
Okay. I don't know if you will. So I don't think Silver hates the Sixers, but okay, the last 5-7 years, we've gotten a lot of shit from them, right? The NBA, right? The process pretty much embraced tanking. Let's just be honest. We got a lot of negative attention from that. But now you have a bunch of teams doing that now, and it's like a cool thing to do, and people praise them online. We definitely weren't getting that before, but it's kind of like when you throw the personal foul. The first guy does the really bad penalty. You know, everyone dogs him on the media. Then when it becomes like a normal thing, and he get praised for it, I'd say they had it out. I'd say they have a lot more out for us if we were the only team getting investigated. We're not. The Knicks are also getting investigated too, so that kind of hurts the whole we're being isolated, you know, and that. B, last year Bulls and Heat both got investigated for it, and Heat lost a second rounder. If we lose a second rounder, I don't really care that much. And I personally think probably lose a second rounder for the early contact with Tucker. I think the whole Harden handshake, we'll say a footage of that. It's going to be so hard to not literally a handshake, but you know what I mean? I don't think they're going to be able to prove that, to be honest with you. But I don't really think they do. I think they're just trying to prove a point across the league, and they kind of have to do it at this point. And look, if you're a boss or you own something, I bet you the Heat called and complained. You can't ignore that, especially the Heat of the team that got penalized for it last year. So they have to look into it. They have to, right? So otherwise, then it's unfair. Then you have Riley and the Heat going, well, that means you don't like us then because you went after us, and now I'm telling you they did it. Look into it. So that's my roundabout way.
Eric, what are you thinking?
Here's my first take. The difference with Chicago and Miami, who lost the pick last year, is they both signed guys to bigger deals. We got PJ and Danuel House. Great pickups for us. Not huge deals compared to the other guys last season.
So it's like a felony and a misdemeanor?
No, what I'm saying is it's not like I don't even think either guy had bird rights with their previous team. So I'm saying, compared to last season, they couldn't have bird rights because they just signed 1-year deals. So compared to the guys in the previous year that from Miami and Chicago, those guys left teams where they could have made more money.
Yeah.
So I think when the guys are leaving and they could have made more money, and you kind of wonder okay, well, what's going on here? And sometimes, yes, the other team lets them walk, but I believe there's more incentive to try to get ahead of the curve when you have a situation like that. But in addition to that, I find it very, very curious in this media world where everyone wants to be first to announce everything. Can't even watch the draft without telling us who's already getting picked before we actually see it.
I hate
so
that.
in this world of I got to be the first to announce something, the same people that are telling us PJ's going to come to the Sixers are now the same people telling us the Sixers are getting investigated.
Yeah, they're wagging their fingers at us now.
So I don't get that. I do not understand how these same people they put all this stuff out there about the Sixers doing it are now saying, well, the NBA is investigating. Well, how did you know information before? Who told you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that doesn't sit well with me.
Maybe the agent to drum up more money for his client. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, somebody's putting all this out here and then saying the NBA is investigating. Well, you just never know where that's coming from. I just think you just never know where that's coming from. But obviously, it's coming from someone.
Because it's coming from.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to say any of the media's names, but I do know that some medias have connections with the front office. Some medias have connection with players.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know who does with each. I'm not going to name them, but I kind of know who does with each and where they get their information from. So I just find it very interesting that that always happens. But as far as James taking less, I don't know how you do that, because James could have come to an agreement and then just didn't sign. That happens. You come to an agreement, or you talk to them, they say, hey, here's the case. You take less money, we can go sign these guys. Well, I mean, if that's the case, that does take time to figure it out. Well, how is this going to look for me if I'm taking less money? How's this going to look? You still can go and increase your salary next year, and everything's explained, and lawyers and agents and everybody talk. That takes time. So to just blow it off and say it's just wing deal, it could have happened, but I think it's highly likely that James, like he said, wants to win. So why can't that just be it?
Yeah.
Are they insinuating that it's taken so long because we were figuring out his next contract? Is that pretty much like more or less the claim? Like it took a little.
No, I don't think because I'm just saying it takes long to figure that out.
No. I know.
I think that they're saying
it took a while.
I think it's only because you have a guy that most guys in his league aren't quote unquote giving back 15 million or 14 million.
And the guys who don't get criticized.
They just aren't doing that. You know, you have a guy like Russell that opts in, and then all of a sudden people mad because he opts in.
Yes. Then the other guy, guy takes less.
That is his money, man. Everybody in the world would opt into that contract, and y'all get mad at him for opting in, calling him selfish. What?
But you have someone else.
It's his money, though. It's his money. It's his right, his option.
Oh,
it's
of course.
His money.
No.
So now I think that since a guy is opted out of money to take a good chunk away, it has to be, well, why would he do that?
Yeah, it's got to be foul play in there.
It has to be some kind of a reason. And I guess they're buying that when James say, I want to win, I want to sacrifice to win, they aren't buying that. So it has to be somewhere down the road. Well, they done promised him a deal down the road.
That's so dangerous, though, because it's like,
yeah, it's dangerous, but I don't know how you can prove that.
Yeah.
But I guess the logic of the logic is really about guys just don't give back 15 or $12+ million and take 1 year deal for less.
But I've read so many articles this offseason about like how all the max contracts are going to players and their values of the actual players themselves are farly exceeding what they're getting paid. And it's going to ruin the league eventually because all these teams are giving incredible amounts of money because they're scared to lose out on a player.
Well, I mean, I don't understand how people can say it's going to hurt the league because a lot of people really don't understand the NBA and the collective bargaining agreement. The NBA's salaries and the collective bargaining, the amount is growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the number of players aren't growing. Just like it's a maximum, it's a minimum that teams have to pay.
Mm.
Yes.
So
the Sixers got trouble with that a few years ago.
If the money is growing and you're not growing the amount of players, guess what? The players' salaries are going to grow.
Mm.
So like I've said before, they need to, like the two-way player, every team should have at least 5 two-way players.
Yeah. I feel like the top end
at each position, you should
much
be
more than that, though.
You
Right?
should be able to have. You should at least be able to have that in the rosters, and you should have players that split the time. Like the way the two-way player is set up, I think it may not be just like that, but I think they need to have more players like that. But it's hard to do when not every team has a G League team, so that's hard to do because you can have an advantage because with those other teams. But I'm just saying, if the number of players don't increase, but the money increases, then the amount per year per players are going to continue to grow. I mean, you look now, the mid-level exception is what, 10, 11?
Yeah, I think it's
billion?
10. Yeah, it's around 10.
When we put that in, I Bleav we put that in during the lockout. The first time was like 90. Was it 99? If not 90, yeah, I think it was 99. It was like $2 million.
Yeah, it's gone up. Yeah, because
so I'm just saying. So look at that right there. So a guy can sign a 3-year deal mid-level and get $30 million, 3 years. So a guy could only when we put it in, a guy could sign for 6 years, and I Bleav it was like 6 years, 18 million. So if it's grown like that, but when I played, it was 15 players on the roster. Now it's 15 players on the roster. So if that salary is going up, how now can you complain that it's going to ruin the league? It's not going to ruin the league. The way the league is set up, and the way, especially in the NBA, majority of these people that own these teams would love to pay LeBron, Steph, Giannis, all those top guys, whatever they want to pay them. They would love to do that. They would pay them whatever they could or whatever they had to, and then pay everybody else anything else. That's how it's always been in the NBA. They would love to be able to just do that.
But the problem is you have guys who aren't on Steph and LeBron's level getting paid that, though. And that is hurting their team because they're paying Steph prices for Bradley Beal. You know what I mean? Like that. I wouldn't say it's hurting the league. I'd say it's hurting certain teams because now, let's be honest, man, the Wizards.
So is the Wizards not making money? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying the Wizards now are stuck in mediocrity because their best player, they're paying far beyond what he's worth as far as what the money
worth what you can get.
I'm saying worth is in like when you compare him to who else is making that. Who else is making?
Well, that's not because he's not being compared to Steph because he makes the same amount of money. He makes the same amount of money because it's a cap.
No, I agree, but
so the cap shouldn't be blamed for giving Bradley Beal less. The cap should be to blame for not being able to give Steph more.
Yes, I agree with that too. But
so that's the issue. See, I understand when people from the media look at it and say, well, he shouldn't make the same as Steph. Then from the player standpoint, is Steph should be able to get more. Mm-hmm. Not Bradley Beal take less. You see what I'm saying?
It's a little both, though.
How is it a little both when there are rules and there's things that you have to do in order to make that kind of money? You have to be at a certain status. You have to be able to have a certain amount of years, certain status to fit a certain salary. And then you have to be able to warrant it. So it's not like they're just, what I'm saying is it's not like they're giving it to them. Whatever it is, like just like the young players, the issue in the league used to be a rookie get drafted and make $60 million and he ain't played a game.
I think that's
that was an issue. So now it's an issue where a rookie after 1 year, after playing 3 years, gets the same salary as a guy that's played 10 years. So they've put in the different things to fix that. It was no different than Derrick Rose on a rookie contract gets MVP, and now they put in the Derrick Rose rule because you're able to get more based on certain things that you accomplish.
Accolades and whatnot.
The Larry Bird rule, because Larry Bird, it gave Boston an opportunity to keep their best player. That's why it's called the Larry Bird rule. That's how that Bird rule came in there. So all of those things are still in there that they're now allowing guys to make more money. So Ja and Zion got their contracts down there. From a salary standpoint, they're up there, but their maximum is still less than Steph Curry's maximum.
Yes.
But Bradley Beal, once you get up there in years, and you're close in years, once you get to 7 or 10 years,
he's eligible.
The maximums are all the same.
I agree. It's eligible, and you should take as much money as you can. But then, if you're a team and you're sitting around with your GM and all your guys, you're like, Bradley Beal's a 36, 37. I'm just saying example. I didn't deep dive this. Bradley Beal's a $36 million player. He wants $50 million. If we don't pay him that, he's gone. Mm-hmm. So like you have two choices. You let your guy leave and let someone else overpay him, or you give him that money because he's just not going to stay for that. I think that's where the NFL has the franchise tag to be like, we want you. Let's get a good deal going. We're going to tag you for 1 year. Let's figure out the contract over that year. But in the NBA, it's like you have a split. Like you have that second to be like, do you want this? No. Well, I'm going to leave you. Give me the extra $20 million. Fine. Let's just do it. And then how many times you see the next year they're trying to trade that guy? Almost like clockwork. Like, oh, guess who's on the trade block? The guy we just paid.
I get what you're saying, but the team still has an option.
They
for every one guy that they feel like they have to pay, trust me, it's been many, many more that they screwed. Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't feel bad for their own.
So I mean, like we always say, like they can say, well, I have to pay this guy. No, you don't. Be bold, trade him, don't pay him. We just seen the Phoenix Suns do it.
Yeah.
Didn't they just do it to Ayton?
Yep.
So you did it then. So now all they did with Ayton was they pulled his value down for the next 4 years. Mm-hmm. And got one less year of a deal.
Let's bring it back to Harden. Harden does what most people don't do. It was like, all right, I want to be here. A, I want to make the team better. B, I don't need all of that money for this season. Let's figure out something. And then now he's getting criticized for that. The thing that people want, the thing that media wants players to do, actually think about team. Now it's being, we need to investigate these guys.
You look at both ends of the table. He took less. Russ opted in. Russ got criticized. James got criticized.
No win.
So which one should you do? I know which one I probably would have did.
Man, depends, I guess, how much you want that ring and how much you want that bling, I guess.
The difference is I believe that James feel that he has a chance to win a championship, and Russ is in the situation where every other day his name's coming up in trade.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why you're gonna trade me or you're gonna move me. Then move everything.
Well, maybe that's why the media is pissed, because they're like, well, you have Philly on one hand saying, we'll take care of you next year, don't worry about it. And you have the Lakers being like, please opt out, please opt out, please opt out. So that's the difference, right?
You ruined his name so much, like he opt out, he wouldn't have got half. He wouldn't have got half of that.
Mm-mm.
Man, that's going to be an interesting one to see when he becomes a free agent, what's going to happen with where he goes and how much he gets. That's a fascinating one, actually.
It is.
All I can say is he'll be quite all right if he never plays again.
Yeah.
Good
for him.
So he's top 75. He's made a good deal, got a great family.
Yeah.
He's going to be okay.
Made good money, great endorsements. He'll have endorsements for a long time.
Terrific. He's doing great.
Yeah. Be all right.
So let's say they find out that we talked to PJ Tucker beforehand and everything, but they can't prove this handshake deal with Harden. But next year he gets a pretty lucrative. I mean, can they open up? Can they open it up again and to investigate it if he gets the lucrative deal they thought they wink deal that they're insinuating?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Teja, I don't know. I don't know if it's because you can only go up so much each year. So I don't know what his increase can actually be.
I think that's different. He's gonna opt out of next year. So I think there is a max.
That's what I'm saying. So he opts out, and his max is going to be based on.
I don't think it's based on this year anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is it based on what he makes this coming year, or is it based on the actual maximum amount that he can get? You know what I'm saying? Like how most players, you can only jump up. So I don't know if it's jump up, and if they jump up, say for instance, his maximum is $50 million, Are they able to jump up the whatever it is, a 14 or 16, 18 million difference? Are they able to jump that?
I saw people.
I don't know.
I saw people posting of what he could get starting next year. It is, I mean, it's high. It's not a percentage off of this. I think it's in like the 40s. I think it's back up there again.
So it's whatever his maximum is. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it goes back to whatever his previous, like whatever his max.
Whatever his max is, and then he can increase off that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, he's gonna get paid.
Well,
Hand over fist.
I mean, if he performed, then I think it's gonna come down to him performing.
Yeah. And if he doesn't perform, he's gonna opt into that player option if he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Either way.
So
I hope he plays well and opts out and takes more money. I'm okay with that. Cool.
we'll see.
And judging by those videos so far this offseason, he's looking pretty good. And I know we've been bit by that before. We judge a guy based on his videos, and then that does not happen at all during the season. But
in that pickup game, he did a step back mid ranger.
The Sam Cassell drills are working.
Yeah.
Did he just shoot a regular mid range?
No, he was kind of a sidestep, kind of fade mid range.
So wasn't a regular one.
No, just like a cat. No way. He still did his little hop step.
I'm just asking.
Hey, it's something.
I'm just asking, so I know. I'm just asking if I know.
We're going in the right direction at least.
Baby steps. So, step back from the mid range. All right. So our next topic, it's been a guy, pretty popular guy on the show and just in the Sixers offseason world and Page's boy. But last week, Daryl Morey was taking questions on Instagram, and he responded to a fan who asked, quote, who is an under the radar Sixer for the 2022-2023 season? His response was Matisse Thybulle. He added Matisse Thybulle's Instagram account. So that begs the question, with the speculation this summer that we were trying to move Matisse Thybulle, that the Sixers were shopping Matisse Thybulle. Dallas, they inquired. Dallas, we were talking deal with Dallas and Portland about him. So it begs the question: do you think that means that Matisse will be on the Sixers this coming year? And do you all agree that Matisse is flying under the radar? We know what Teja thinks on that one.
Let Teja go. Go ahead, Teja.
2 in a row. I feel honored. All right. I think it means he's not going anywhere right now. That's for sure. I think more or less, besides clearing up the roster jam, I think this is pretty much the team we're going to go into the season with. I also think it's really smart for Morey to play nice now after what did they say during the draft that like your phone, if you're a GM, if your phone's not on or something, if your phone's on, you've gotten multiple messages from Morey about trading Thybulle. So it's public that he was dying to get rid of him. So I think he's under the radar, as in like he's like the 8th or 9th player that's named when you talk about Sixer players with the additions we made. But whether or not he's a starter, he's one of our best defenders and should play around 20, 25 minutes a night. If his shot improves slightly, then he'll have he'll be great for us and sign an extension, or we'll be able to trade him for even more. Yeah.
Well, we know Teja's a anti-Thybulle guy.
I was playing the middle there. How
I took that was based on maybe his expectations and how his expectations were at a certain level, maybe the previous years, and whereas his expectations are now, I think has dropped, especially since the whole, Toronto, debacle. I think his expectations have dropped, that I think he could exceed those expectations that are there now. Because everyone's looking at him as a reserve and maybe even deep reserve. I think he can play out of that. From Teja's standpoint, all he needs to do is make a corner three a game, and I think he'll be okay. And I believe that he can do it. I believe that he can still contribute on the team. I think the team has gotten better, and I think that'll help him. I think he can learn from some of the guys that came in.
Absolutely.
And be a better and more productive player, and more defined in his role. I think it's confident. I think his confidence can grow. It's something about being on the team. If the team is still winning, even if maybe you're not playing well, you're able to get your confidence back a little faster. So I think the success that I expect the team to have will help him in the long run. But I Bleav it's a guy that we will need to win some games.
And the expectations definitely dropped. That helps him a lot, especially all the guys in here now. It's like
Yeah.
when I feel like when Ben didn't show up last year, it was like, all right, Thybulle, you're our backup Ben defender. You have to stop the guy's best player every night. It's like, he doesn't necessarily have that anymore. You have a few guys who can defend now. Melton can defend, Tucker can defend, House can defend. So he kind of blends in now, and he's not the only last line of defense.
And like I said, I think his role can be more defined. I don't think you have to see him defending three different positions. I think he can be more defined in his role, whatever that may be. And I think that'll help him. I Bleav he can defend and try to, Bruce Bowen it. Try to defend and make a corner three. I think that's what his role is going to be, and I think that he's going to have with it being more defined and having the new players and having the players that we have, coming back better. I think that it helps him.
Yeah.
Just give me 35% from three. Just give me 35%.
Well, analytics says 33 is good.
Well, he's not there either. So give me 33. I'll take 33.
Right. Just saying.
I want a little more than the bare minimum.
3 out of 10 threes is the same as shooting 50% from two. So that's what they say, right?
Yeah.
I'll take 33. I'll take 33 too. 35 is me aiming for the stars, and if we hit the roof, I'll be okay with that too.
Well, if Thybulle does that, then all talk we had, if he improves that shot, all talk we had this offseason from, us on the show and there's the Sixers Twitter world becomes that solid three.
Sixers Twitter's world and Teja on the show.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, if he improves that shot, he's getting paid, and we're gonna have a really tough decision to make with him if he improves that shot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he's coming up for an extension. So
I'll go in people's pockets again.
Well, hey man, we're gonna have the luxury tax of Golden State soon. Let Harris pay for that with his $10-20 billion inner city stadium. That's fine.
Hey.
Would it be out of the realm for a GM to go on Instagram and say, I look at him this year, he's gonna be the under the radar guy, and then you trade him? I mean, is that out of the realm? I mean, would you be surprised by that if we traded him after him saying this?
Every player in the league is one trade away from being one deal away from being traded. It's probably about 3 or 4 guys that aren't. If you look at it differently, then you're looking at it wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just texting everyone.
You look at Golden State, right?
Mm.
4 championships, very good team. Steph is probably the only guy that a deal wouldn't come. He couldn't come for him.
Yeah. I mean, remember, especially with Morey too. Morey was talking to Ben Simmons, and behind closed doors was trying to trade him that entire year. And then this whole offseason, he's been trying to trade Thybulle. Now he's just under the radar player.
Yeah, I mean, you look
business.
At Joker, Joel, Giannis, Luka. Like,
I noticed you didn't mention LeBron.
Well, LeBron's he's short deal, so LeBron's already he controls his narrative. So that's
yeah.
Most teams that LeBron is scared of the team they're gonna trade him to. I'm not gonna play. I'm retired.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
He can put some different things out there where I think he can control his narrative.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you don't trade LeBron James unless he wants to.
Yeah. That's him.
And that's what I'm saying. It's not many guys that are like that. Everyone else, yeah, you can be moved.
Yeah.
The right deal comes across. And they can call you in the office and tell you this isn't going to happen. And shortly after that, it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of Sixer fans are just thought that with Morey saying that Matisse is going to stay and he'll stay for them. Because there are, contrary to some beliefs, Teja, there are a lot of Sixer fans who are big Thybulle fans.
I'm not anti-Thybulle.
So they don't want him to go. And this guy over here wanted to trade him for a bag of chips.
Bag of chips, huh? I mean,
I was messing.
You wanted to put him in any deal, though.
What kind of chips? What kind of chips are we talking about here? Talking about
any
Pringles?
deal. You put him in any deal.
Talking about Pringles? We talking about like Cantina Mexican chips? What are you talking about here? It's a big difference. The chips.
See, there you go.
You were throwing in Thybulle quite loosely a little bit. There's
what? For KCP? For who? Yeah, a bona fide starter, not our eighth man. Yeah, you're right. I was. I absolutely was.
Saying, man, a lot of Sixers fans did not.
You know what? When I have some free time, I'm going to dip back in some of these episodes and hear how anti-Thybulle I was. I'm going to get my best quotes about Thybulle. I don't think it's as anti as I'm being made out to be. I think it's in the middle.
I don't know. After Eric and I kind of got on you, you kind of went back a little bit.
I mean, I think it really started in the playoffs. It
yes.
really got bad.
That's what I was going to say. Yes. Come on.
That's when I think during the season he wasn't as bad.
No, he actually had a great second half.
And then when that second half and then that playoffs came, it was just like he showed that he was a Philly fan.
Yeah. My stripes.
That boy turned on him. He turned on him so quick.
Hey, man, a lot of people could say he turned on us. Okay, so yeah, let's like that goes both ways. I felt a little turned on or turned off. I don't know how you want to put that, but I didn't want to give him away for nothing. But yeah, I mean that was rough. It was rough. But I did read that starting five with Thybulle was the second highest net rating behind Boston's five in the league for that second half of the season. So very good starting five of those guys.
Well, yeah, that didn't matter to you though. So.
Well, it would have mattered more if it was the playoff stats, but Thybulle became
playoffs is different. So
Thybulle got cloned
and prove that. He's not alone on our team.
Yeah, that's true too.
So he can't get all the blame. So he's not alone in that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where Teja stands in Thybulle when we go to play Toronto in November, and Thybulle's not playing in that one.
I was going to say, what do you mean? He's not going to be in there.
I know. I want to see if you go back to this Haynes.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going to root for the guy who's not playing. I mean, I'm not going to be happy he's out.
We'll see.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not happy he's not going to play in that game. But at least now we have depth, though. At least now we have guys who can play instead of him.
That's true.
Not playing Cork 25 minutes. Yeah, no, thank goodness we're not in that position anymore.
Yeah, we'll discuss that when November comes and he's not playing at Toronto.
All right.
Our next topic, something that was trending on Twitter this past week. It's a lot of Sixers fans are going back and forth on this. Everyone's comparing the 2018 to 2019 Sixers squad with Butler, Tobias, and the upcoming 2022-2023 team. There's kind of two different camps. Some are saying the potential of this team is better than that team. So just for people who don't remember that squad, so 2018-2019 starters, you had Simmons, Redick, Butler, Tobias, and Embiid, with the top three bench guys in the playoffs being James Ennis, Mike Scott, and Greg Monroe. With this team, we got the potential starters would be Harden, Maxey, Tucker, Harris, and Embiid, with the top three bench guys being DeAnthony, Melton, Matisse Thybulle, and Danuel House. So obviously we haven't seen this team yet. This is all potential and just us talking about it. But which Sixers team are you taking on paper?
2018.
Ooh.
Eric. All right.
Wow.
And now, is this because we knew what we saw from this team, and there's unknown about this squad coming up here?
At that time, it was, you based on what they kind of did, it was 3 All-Stars. 3 All-Stars and a really good player and a really good role player that fits the need for that team.
With James Ennis, Mike Scott, and Greg Monroe?
Like, what's the 3 reserves now?
Melton, Matisse, and House?
And you're just saying that like that's way better than that?
Yeah, I think the 2018 with these bench players probably would have won the championship.
No, the 2018 would have won the championship because of the starters.
Oh, because of them. But
yes, that's why they wouldn't have won, not because of no reserves. We're not looking at Golden State and be like, who are they 6th, 7th, and 8th man? Like they winning because of the starters, man.
No, but Golden State has had good depth. In the games that Klay Thompson struggled, they had other guys to step up. No one was stepping up. It was our starters or nothing. It was like zero. Like we had nothing. Like our plus minus when those guys left was like, and as soon as Embiid left, it was like done. Butler, Simmons, they had to all be on the floor all the time. I think you can mix and match some of our lineups now. You don't have to have Harden play 40 minutes a game. I don't think you have to have Maxey play that much either. I think you could stagger some lineups. You couldn't stagger those lineups. And Redick was being attacked. That was a weak spot, big time defensively. Who's our biggest weak spot now? Probably Harden, Maxey.
Who we just lose to this year?
Huh?
Who we just lose to in the playoffs this year?
Miami.
Who are their best player?
Butler and Bam.
Butler. Who's their best player?
Butler.
Okay. Is he on that roster we talking about?
Yeah, that's great.
Come on, man.
I mean, I agree. The starters are really close, I'd say. But just because
I think it comes down to you all having much more confidence in Maxey than me.
Oh.
As far as him, not him being good, but him leading the team, being part of a championship team. I think JJ was more defined in his role and able to help a team get to the championship than Maxey this year. He may not ever be a better player for his career than Maxey. But I think at that stage of his career and what he brought to the table and what he was allowed to do, because I think it's going to be hard for Maxey to not perform, but how can he perform to a certain level with those other three guys? How can he do it?
But if you're going player for player, Embiid 22 or Embiid 19, Embiid 22, right? He's better now than he was 3 years ago. Harris.
But I'm not looking at it from a standpoint of, if you're looking at it from a standpoint of who's better now, you know, the players, like you're looking at the rosters of that player and you got in mind who that player is.
Oh, no, right now, no. I'm going.
You're saying who that player was then.
I'm going that year versus this year. So 2019 Embiid versus 2022.
So at the same time,
Harris is a wash.
So how's he not better?
But is Harris better than he was in 2019?
How's he not?
Embiid's gotten 2 back-to-back runner-up to MVP. I mean, I think he's a better overall player than he was 2019. He might have been better.
He's still Joel Embiid, though, right?
Okay, I'll say wash. Redick. Who's Redick going to guard? Maxey? Maxey would go for 40 points on Redick. I guess Redick would guard Tucker. Is that who he would guard? Probably. They probably try to hide him on Tucker.
So you're saying when we lost because of JJ Redick defending?
Well,
It didn't help.
I think we lost because Embiid was sick that series.
Yeah, well, story of our playoff lives. Embiid's illnesses and injuries in the playoffs.
Was this the year we lost to Toronto?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Toronto win it?
We lost because of a fluke bounce is why we lost.
And Toronto won it, right?
Toronto won it.
At home. In Toronto.
Against us, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So they ended up winning the championship.
Yes.
So you're a tricky bounce, as you say, away from the team that won the championship.
I'm not dogging that team. I think that team was great. I love that team. I love the 2018-19 team. I really do. But I want them to run it back because if you would have given them an offseason to build a bench around that team, I think we would have been unstoppable the next year. But, you know, let's not even get into the gaffes that happened after that with the Josh Richardson trade and all kinds of.
I'm not. I just don't understand how you can say, you know, a team that team and then this team based on 3 all-star players. And now you have 2.
I'm also going to be honest with you too, Eric. I'm very surprised.
So you went to the bench.
Yeah. And Redick. The 2 weeks
that bench, but that's also the bench that took them to The closest they've been in the second round.
Yeah, I think our bench averaged like 3 minutes played per game. Like they did not. I mean, like
That's fine in the playoffs. That's fine. Yeah.
Greg Monroe. I mean, I got to be honest too. Butler, I did not expect him to age the way he has. He didn't. I've been a Butler fan for a long time since Chicago, right? He didn't look great with the Sixers that year. He looked a little run down, a little like tired. I didn't expect him. I think he's better now than he was on our team, and that's like 3 years later. That's crazy to think that, but I think he looks younger now than he did with us. He looked kind of like slow and like not as jumpy. Didn't have his legs. I don't know what it was that year, but
he made big shots, right?
He did make big shots. He did. Yeah. Well, hey,
he got that ball and he made 2 shots.
I wanted him to stay.
So that means he was our go-to player, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and Ben had a problem.
I understand what you're saying.
Ben had a problem with that. Ben Simmons wanted to be the guy at the end of the games with the ball in his hand so he could shoot 60% from the free throws. You know, what are you going to do?
I don't know about all that. I'm just saying, like, I don't get into these personal because I don't know. I'm not in that locker room, so I'm not going to go by how people feel and what people say. I think
Embiid said that actually. We got rid of Butler for you.
All I know is that team had the best opportunity, and they were sitting right there, and they lost on the shot that bounced in on the road to the team that that won the championship. And the team we talking about just got beat by Miami. And then you're talking about you adding the reserves, and now it makes them better than that team. Like, still the same team as last year.
Well, yeah. Tucker might start.
Danny Green.
Hmm?
Tucker in for Danny Green. Does that bring it up a little bit? Swapping out Danny Green for Tucker.
I like it, but you're saying that does it the jump over that team? No.
So you think that
I'm
team
firm that team was a better team.
Okay.
I don't think it's a big gap. If you ask me who I would take that team.
I think starters they win, but I think overall team, I think this team wins on paper. Yeah. Team 13, 14 full roster. I think this team is more complete than that team was.
I think
we ain't going into nothing talking about, man. Who's the reserves, man? Stop, man.
I'm not talking about the two-way play. I'm talking about guys.
When you judge these teams based on what you think, you ain't talking about who's a 6, 7, 8 man. Like that's what matters.
That's important, right? That's important. Right?
Yeah, it's important. But you get into them playoffs, like I said. Golden State won because of them starters, man.
Yeah. I mean, Golden State was
Jordan Poole.
Golden State was very deep this year. They were a very deep team, though. Maybe the deepest team they've had with that group, to be honest.
First championship was the deepest team they had.
Yeah. That was Jared Jack and Sean Livingston off the bench.
Yeah, that's true.
Was Jared Jack on that team? I don't know.
Barbosa, that was the team.
Yeah,
that was their depth.
Team was yeah.
I will say that between the two teams, obviously we don't know what's going to happen with this team going into this season collectively. But I will say there was in that starting lineup you had Redick, that was kind of a liability on defense, and then Simmons kind of a liability on offense. Whereas this team right now, there's not a whole lot of liabilities on either end of the on offense or defense with this starting five. Not talking about the bench, but the starting five.
It's not any what?
There's not that many liabilities, I would say, comparatively to the other team where you had the liability on offense with Simmons and not being able to shoot more than 8.
So you're saying James is a better defender than JJ Redick? Is that what you're saying?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Y'all both say that?
You don't say that, huh?
I'm asking a question.
I think so, yeah. I think I'd rather
because historically, James has been labeled a liability on defense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that what people have said?
Yeah, no, totally. He has been amongst the league leader in steals a good portion of the last 5 years, though. But yeah,
the guys can be steals and be the worst defender on the team, man.
I agree. But I think that propels him to go over Redick.
It's like a bad shooter can make a 3. Does that make him a good shooter?
He's leading the league in threes?
No, I'm just saying, if a bad shooter makes a three, he's missed every other shot. He's still a bad shooter, but he make a three, though. That's like saying a guy gets steals, and he plays defense. Come on now.
Mm-hmm. He's just all
I'm saying is we're getting on JJ for being that kind of defender. They said the same thing about Seth.
Yes. Yeah, they did.
Defensively. But people have said the same thing about James, but now y'all saying it's not there.
Oh, I'm not saying James isn't a good I'm not saying James is a good defender by any means. I think he's a better defender. I think he's less of a liability than Redick is, though. That's what I'm saying.
He'll be guarding the same players.
Yeah, and I would trust Harden on Butler more than I would trust Redick on Butler. Wouldn't you?
Well, not necessarily, because I think his offensive load is less. More structured guy can play more into the team system. He may not be a better individual defender, but I think whatever the game plan, he may be able to execute the game plan better because of his less of a load on the offensive end.
Yeah, factoring that in, that makes it close. I just think switching to, I think Harden wouldn't get bullied as easily as Redick would be on the block or something if he got mismatched on like a big three. I think Harden can maybe hold his own a little more, not all game, but I think he can maybe put it up a little more than Redick could. But like I said, I'm pretty close to agreeing on the starters, but you don't agree on the whole bench thing.
I'm not looking at it from, I don't put as much emphasis on the bench as you do. I'm talking about you going into the season, you got starters and you can figure it out. Like benches can be adjusted throughout the season. I'm just saying with this team right here, if you're giving me a choice, that's who I would pick.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying that, it's a big gap. I'm just saying that's who I would have picked.
But I think a big reason why we lost this year against the Heat is because they were deep and we weren't. I think bench was a big problem for this team last year.
We lost against the Heat because they played tougher and better.
Yeah,
that too. But they had tougher and better 6, 7, 8s. Their 6, 7, 8s were playing better than some of our starters were.
If our starters would have played well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can eliminate some of that bench play because everybody's minutes go up in the playoffs. So if a guy's averaging 34 minutes, he go up to 38, 39 minutes in the playoffs. You're most of the guys on the bench that may average, 14 to 17 minutes. Now they averaging 10 to 12 minutes. So come on, man.
Except Duncan Robinson. Except Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, I'm just saying, so I just starters got to win the game, man.
Yeah, and like with the Raptors series, the Embiid was sick. Embiid missed the first 2 games of the Heat series too. So you give those 2 to Embiid. Who knows what happens? If he plays in those 2 games. If he wasn't sick 4 years ago, and if he didn't hurt his eye in this series, who knows? 2 championships right there.
Yeah, well,
yeah. If we weren't injured, we would have beat the Lakers in 2001 too. Okay, who knows? Even though they hadn't lost the game that year, but I got you.
No, only lost.
I got what you're saying.
Only lost.
Yeah,
I got you.
Game 1 was the championship.
I got what you're saying, but I'm just saying, we can talk about all these what ifs, but yeah.
I was mostly just joking about that. All right, so last quick topic of the night. So it's hard to be a Sixers fan on social media and not see what former Sixers are saying, especially when you talk about Seth Curry and Ben Simmons, 2 guys who've been, big stories in our team for the last few years. But so Seth Curry said this past week about Ben Simmons that he does not need a jump shot. The exact quote was, "He just got to do what he does best, which is defend, rebound, push the ball, and make plays for other people and attack the rim." So he said he does not need a jump shot to be successful in the league. Do you 2 agree with Seth on the latest Ben Simmons story?
Ben Simmons was an all-star without a jump shot. He was a first-round pick. He was number 1 pick without a jump shot. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Missing jump shots and missing threes make you drive to the basket. Missing free throws make you not want the ball. Ben Simmons has got to be all about making free throws. If Ben Simmons shot 75 plus 80% from the free throw line, we wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't be here.
No, we wouldn't.
because he'll find it, because he can still be able to score. He can still be effective. He can post little smaller guys up. He can do different things.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with Seth from that standpoint. But I do think that his lack of confidence at the free throw line affects his whole game. And until that's addressed, it's going to continue to do it. I've been there, so I know for a fact. I'm not speaking on opinion on this. I'm speaking on fact on this part.
Did you agree with Seth there?
You know me. I've always said about Ben, I always thought the 3-point stuff was nonsense. I don't think he ever needed a 3-point shot. I don't think he ever needed to try it. I don't think he ever needed that. I always said, give me like a 5 to 10 foot little like running, like a 5-foot hook shot, and give me like 70 to 73% from the free throw line. If he even just gave you 70 to 75, he would have been averaging like 18 a game. Easy. I mean, I see what Seth's saying, and yeah, I think what he's saying is factual. With that team, it is. Like, yeah, you can just push and rebound and defend when you have Durant, Seth, Kyrie, TJ Warren, Harris coming back from injury. Yeah, those are all guys that can put the ball in the bucket. Yeah,
I think he can, for that team, it's probably not needed as much.
He can be there, Draymond.
I think the one thing about being, as far as, and this is the one thing I may slightly disagree with Seth on, is the fact that Ben has never really been a willing shooter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's never been a guy that took the shots to miss. So that part of it that's where it's different, because you can have a guy that misses shots, but he takes them. So he doesn't even take them or put himself in position to take them.
Mm-hmm.
So the willingness to take shots kind of tells me he was aware of his situation, and kind of tells me he was aware of his situation, and mentally it was there for him to avoid it. The playoffs, like anything else, it shows up, and when it showed up, it just snowballed. That missing free throws just snowballed, and then when they, the old hack a Shaq, when they start doing that, and that affected him, I think that it affected him not making something new, but bringing something that was already there and made it and escalated it.
Mm-hmm.
So I stand by. It's the free throws that he needs to correct, and then be a willing shooter. Maybe not a 3-point shooter, but a willing guy. If teams are playing off of you and it's a big at the rim, that you're willing to go in and take a short pull-up.
Mm-hmm.
Just the willingness to do it.
Yeah.
It was almost layup or nothing.
Which in his first summer league game, like he was tearing up from the mid range. That was probably his best game as a pro. Was his summer league game, his first ever one against the Lakers, which was a fun game to watch.
So then it's been confirmed that it's probably more above his shoulders.
Yeah,
just lacking confidence.
Yeah,
it's funny if you look at his first playoff year. He had 16, 9, and 8. And he shot 12 and a half times a game, and he averaged almost 71% from free throws that year.
Mm-hmm.
Like 12 shots a game, averaging that. Then he went down to 13, then 11, and like his field goal percentage stayed the same, but his free throws went from 57 to 34. So it's like, man, like that's
because the first year people weren't really
the magnifying glass on it yet.
Yeah, well, they weren't really doing that. And then when they started doing that, and then the last year when Atlanta, and I don't even think Atlanta did it. Was it, who did we play first day? Was it the Wizards?
Wizards started doing it.
The Wizards did it.
Yeah.
And they were like, they don't even have a chance to win, but they like, man, let's go. So they kind of like, Atlanta was like, oh, okay, thank you, Wizards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you go down and you lose, and then you have those big leads, and then you lose the games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then how you lose it, and then you have the one play like that everybody replays where he has the layup or dunk and he passes it. to Thybulle, who I believe missed a free throw, missed one of those free throws.
Yeah, he did.
I think from that point on, it was just like, it's tough.
Yeah.
He didn't
tough
want
to be in that situation, and tough city to be in that situation.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy because that game 5 for in Washington that Embiid did not play in, he killed it, man. He had triple-double. He slaughtered them that game. It was like, all right, you're back on track again. You're all right. And Atlanta kind of just reverted back again. Yeah, it's. I mean, we know the story now. It's all unfortunate, but yeah. Again, I totally agree with you. First free throws, man.
Yeah, go back to that Atlanta year. Give them 75%. That's another championship right there. That's 4 championships we're talking about.
I don't know about that, but we probably would have beat the Hawks, but I don't know.
Yeah.
From that point on. Yeah.
I doubt Milwaukee, but yeah, who knows? But all right, fellas, that does it for us. Thanks for tuning in to Bleav In 76ers podcast presented by BetOnline. We'll see you guys next week as we continue to delve in to see what happens next with this investigation. But we'll see you guys and update you next week.